Okay.
Hi. Our class today is on chapter 12, Alexa, Madison, and myself. Starter is the asked question. Do you miss school?
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to give you guys just a second to think about this. So if you got the email that Maddie sent out that said to bring a piece of paper and a pencil, will you guys write down your answer? Or if you didn't, will you just think about it, and then we'll give you a few seconds to compose your thoughts.
Please share your thoughts.
Yeah, we thought like a pen and a paper might be kind of something to bring us back to what it would have been like doing a starter in class when we're like actually together.
Yes.
So does anyone want to answer the starter question?
Do you want to answer the starter question?
I can. I definitely miss school. Staying home is the worst, and I love being at school because I get to be with my friends, and also I get one-on-one instruction from the teacher, whereas how online school is going right now is not very, I don't know. It's just not very effective, I guess. And so I'd much rather be in school because I can learn better and yeah.
Hey, all right.
What are the objectives?
So I just want to say like, real quick, like
Including
honestly, it's a lot trying to learn online because you can't really connect with one another. It's really difficult to focus on like the lessons, and I find myself just skipping over things, whereas I would like taking it all in. So I do miss school. Adding to that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Haley. It's so hard right now.
I want to put my 2 cents into as like a teacher. I miss it so much. Like and I wrote down some things that I didn't realize I would miss so much, but like literally I miss the movement, like moving around the school, seeing and interacting with other people. Cause I sit in this chair all day long, and like that is not the life that I signed up for. So I sit here and I'm like jittery and like can't, so I can't get my energy out like this, even though I'm like meeting with kids and have been for days. It's just different. Like it's not the same as that like that person to person contact. And so I miss it so much and I want to go back to school.
Thank you guys for sharing your answers.
Yeah, thank you.
for showing your answers. The objectives including teaching in urban classrooms. I can state as example for my music theory AP classes, I can identify chord cadences. Formative assessments include pre-test, classroom, and homework assignment, group participation and responses, and goal setting using power standards and I can statements. I can statements are effective because it sets the stage for what is coming and expected.
How many of you guys have had to use I can statements in the classroom before?
Well, I used it in my AP music theory classes. I can identify chord cadences.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the review now. This is just a little bit of review of what Haley and Taylor went over last time. So I want to talk about the motivation in students, planning for effective teaching, and implementing instruction. So does anyone remember the 2 types of motivation? Just pull it out.
Intrinsic and extrinsic.
Yes, good job, Haley. Okay, what are 3 important things when planning an effective lesson?
Standards, planning for assessment, and I can't remember the third one. This is bad.
I can't remember.
You know, line fun.
Oh yeah.
Okay, last one. In your guys' opinion, what are some essential teaching skills?
Organization.
Organize.
There's lots. Focus.
Is there any that you
I'll
got
throw one
that are very like consistent and well with teachers that you've had that really helps you when learning?
This is one that Haley kind of touched on when she talked about Rita Pearson, or at least Rita Pearson like embodies this. And she talks about your rapport with kids. Like a kid will not learn from someone that they don't like or feels like doesn't like them. So I think your relationship with your kids really does matter. It's not like you need to be like best friends, but you need to have respect and like understanding and compassion for your students so that they can learn from you. So I think that's an important one.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, and let's move to the next one. Okay, so we're going to talk about diversity a little bit. It's where urban classrooms tend to have students come from different diverse backgrounds, and because of this, it's challenging to link new content to what they already may know, and that's why efforts are put in place to ensure their success. So there's examples. The need for examples is essential when teaching in urban classrooms. Examples can provide students with common experiences to develop their understanding. Then interactive instruction. When teachers are working in challenging environments, they tend to revert back to instructional strategies that give them the most control. And this often results in lecture and seat work, which can be difficult for any student, just like us and everything. But in an urban classroom, it should be the exact opposite, where teachers need to do more interactions with students. And then urban students' knowledge is likely to vary because of the diversity in their background experiences. In order to work effectively with students, teachers need to provide students with opportunities to test their developing ideas and receive feedback. And then adaptations for English language learners is the last one. English language learners present challenges to urban teachers. Teachers may not understand the language being spoken in their classroom or even lack the background information that other students possess. Does anybody have any questions about diversity in the classroom? Okay. We can move on.
Maybe that'll ever learn. Be told.
Okay, now we're going to talk about instructional strategies. Does anyone know what teacher-centered instruction is or what it sounds like?
The teacher is the center of the knowledge and in charge of learning is teacher-centered instruction.
Madison, did you skip over one?
I think I did.
Yep.
Like, informal.
Yep.
I
Okay.
don't know if I should say it or not. I was cocked. Yeah.
It's all right. It happens. Okay, so there's informal assessments and formal assessments. So as you guys can kind of see from the pictures, informal assessments are different kinds of gatherings that teachers will do in order to kind of understand where their students are. That's not as formal as a test or a quiz would be. So sometimes teachers will say like, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs to the side. How well do you understand this, or how much more do you need help with, and stuff like that. And so that's what informal is. And then formal is our favorite, where we have to sit down and do tests and all these different things where it's not very fun, but it's systematically gathering the same kind of information from all the students. And this can be shown through a quiz or a test.
I have a really
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a funny example with this one. During this like quarantine and stuff, my like math teacher would give us a quiz on like the main ideas of the lesson, and then at the end she would put like, how much do you actually understand this? And you're like, okay, like these are two different like tests, lady. Like, all right, thanks. So you had to like give her this like formal of like, yes, I just filled in the bubbles, but then you also had to be like, I understand a 4 in this lesson today. So this was like when we were learning about this, I kept thinking about the way that she was like doing this like quiz, and I was like, this is so weird that you're like including both of them in one. Like this just seems so weird to me.
All right.
So now getting to instructional strategies. These instructional strategies are approaches to teachers to teaching designed to help students acquire a deep understanding of specific forms of knowledge. So the teacher-centered instruction is the teacher is the center of knowledge and in charge of learning. So it's a lot more of like the lectures and like them just kind of spitting out knowledge to you. The learner-centered instruction is the methods of teaching that shift the focus of instruction from the teacher to the student. It's a student-centered instruction, and it focuses on skills and practices that enable lifelong learning and independent problem solving. So these are more of like the Socratic seminars and the kind of like sitting down and like talking to like students, working in groups, like these little activities that we do that really will allow us to grow as students and to use these in our life, like working in a business or like working as a teacher, like learning to have your students teach each other.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any questions or anything?
I just have a comment. Student teaching is especially like interesting. I've noticed in the like little when I've been teaching preschoolers, because you'll give them a job and they have to teach the whole class. And it's really interesting because it not only helps them remember it more, but it helps the kids remember it more, because they're like, oh, I remember when Everett was saying this and we talked about that. And it just like makes you like think about it more. And so I think sometimes learner-centered instruction is so important to like help kids understand those key concepts more than just a teacher giving all the instruction.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's really effective to have these students teach. And that's such a cool example with your cute little kids. So next we have the teacher-centered strategies. So these are like direct instructions, the phases of, and these phases of direct instructions are the introduction and review, developing understanding, and practice. So kind of like just going back, like this instruction and review is when the teachers will begin with a review or previous, like of the previous work that we had the day before, followed by an attention grabbing activity. So the starter or usually like the videos, like when we came on the first day to going to EDU for the first day, like Miss Lewis had a ton of videos and like starters and get to know you. And that's like a really good kind of like attention grabber to keep throughout the year to keep your students engaged. Developing understanding is when teachers explain the knowledge or skill and use questioning to develop student understanding. I think like a big example of like this developing understanding is like the discussions that we do. So like, can we discuss with our other with the other students in class what we've learned through like the question that Miss Lewis will give us? And then finally, practice is when students first identify additional examples of the concept or apply the skills under the teacher's supervision and then apply the concept to new situations. The last one on the slide is lecture instruction, and that lecture method, this is the lecture method that's the oldest. It's like also the oldest method of teaching. The teacher classifies the content matter to the student by using gestures, simple devices by changing voice, and the change of position and facial expressions. Teachers are more active and students are passive, but the teachers also ask questions to keep the students attentive. Anyone have any questions or comments on this one?